Everyone like rides it. It's like a stock. Oh my God, I got to buy NVIDIA. I got to buy NVIDIA. It's the same stuff. It's absolutely fascinating to watch human nature repeat itself over and over and over. And you just sit back and go, okay, here's what's going to happen. And it does. It happened when the first time automobiles showed up and planes showed up. You just got to understand that.
Let it happen. Hello, what's up? It's your boy Farokh, and we're back on Farokh Radio. This time with the man, the myth, the legend, the father of the iPod, Tony Fadell. We're out here in Paris at the Ledger headquarters for this wonderful event. Tony, how you doing today? Good morning.
Good morning, Farokh. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for wanting to talk. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for doing this. I know it's been long in the making. Very excited to talk to you as part of the series that I'm, sort of like fell into and trying to talk all things, crypto, blockchain tech, bring it to the masses, but without, the nitty gritty, without making it sound too complicated to the people, which is, I feel, is something that we tend to do a lot.
Maybe a little too much.
well, keep that for later because I definitely want to touch on that, given that you know a thing or two, I think, about consumer marketing, consumer product, consumer branding, etc., and all this thing. But first and foremost, Tony, how are you doing today? We're in Paris. It's 24 degrees Celsius outside, whatever that is in freedom metrics. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a wonderful fall day, and it's great. I just moved back to Paris, so after being here for so many years, so it's really great to be back here and being with all my friends and being able to spend more time with the Ledger crew.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Paris is a great is a great town. It's a great city. I was born and raised here, so.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect.
Definitely love it.
Well, then you know.
Yeah, definitely know a thing or two about it. But Tony, listen, want to ask you a few questions here regarding all things crypto and your thoughts, etc. But first, do you dabble? I know you're working with Ledger. We'll get to that a little later once Ian comes in, etc. You've designed a great product for them, but do you dabble yourself in this industry?
Well, I don't know what you mean by exactly dabble, but do I own I own tokens? Absolutely. I own a range of different tokens. Do I own NFTs? Yes, I have a range of NFTs. I even have generative art and physical instantations of generative art. So yes, I have all kinds of different stuff, and I continue to learn by doing, right? The only way you're going to be able to get into this, and this is how the stacks came about, and the stuff I'm doing with Ledger is first trying crypto, and that started back in 2014. I think is when I bought my first tokens. Wow. Yeah. Not a lot, but you gotta start somewhere, and you learn, and then you build on that.
At least you started, in 2014.
Yeah, absolutely, I started.
I love that. So let's take it back a little bit, for the people within the crypto industry that may not, be familiar with who Tony Fadell is. First and foremost, definitely check out the book, Build. It's really good.
Thank you.
You're dubbed as the father of the iPod, co-inventor of the iPhone. You've, created Nest, which is, by the way, incredible technology. Love it. And so kind of want to ask about, how you got into technology. What drew you as a person into, I guess, emerging tech? Because at the time, that's what it was.
Well, I've been in tech a long time.
Yeah.
So we got to go we got to wind it back to the 70s. So, and people are like, what, 70s? So literally, I started out with my grandfather, and before there were computers. And he was an educator, but he was also a builder. And he would put tools in my hands and have me repair things, build things with him, birdhouses, we'd go gardening, I'd repair the sink, I'd replace electrical sockets, all kinds of stuff, use power tools when I'm 4 years old with my mom, screaming in the background, what are you doing? It's all those kinds of things. So I got to use my hands and my brain, and my grandfather always told me, he's like, look, all of these things in the world, humans made, and that means you can too. And so, I was empowered from a young age just to tinker and build and all that stuff. And then later on, when the personal computer came out, I started seeing that, and I was just intrigued. I didn't know what the hell it was. I was just like, that seems cool, right? And it was right around when Atari 2600 just came out. So I was, geeking out with some Atari stuff, and then I was like, how do they make these games and all this stuff? So I just dove into the world of computing around 1979 and took my first classes doing basic on pencil bubble cards,
that.
you know, and putting them into a reader with a paper monitor. You know, there was no monitor. It was a paper. It was just paper streaming. Not very good for the environment, but that's what it took back then. So that, you know, I've been in this business and I've been able to watch it grow pre-internet, pre-networking, pre-email, pre-bulletin board systems, if anyone knows what that is.
I don't.
So yeah, right. Actually, the inventor of the bulletin board system just died yesterday, which is, he was amazing because that's how I stayed connected with my friends well before all the stuff we have today. So, you know, I got to grow as a kid and then as an adult with the industry. So I've, from the earliest chips all the way out to what we have today. So I understand how this all works.
Yeah.
You know, if you're new to this, if you're new to the business, there's so much to learn, but I got to grow with it. And it's a whole different thing when you get to do that, because fundamentally it's like in my core, you know, and I know all the different building Lego blocks. It's really fun.
Yeah,
it's really
I mean,
fun to work on.
literally starting building Lego blocks, you know, birdhouses, right? Stuff like that.
Right, sure.
To building virtual digital Lego blocks in a way.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that.
Right.
So what's the difference, right, between building a great product and making people want to use the product?
Well, the difference, and we, you know, I learned a lot about product design at a company called General Magic back in 1991 to 94. It was the original Mac team without Steve Jobs, and we were creating the iPhone 15 years too early.
No way.
So there's a whole documentary about it. It's called General Magic, the movie. You should check it out. Your viewers should check it out. It is literally the precursor to the iPhone. And out of General Magic came the iPhone, iPod, obviously, but also what came out of it was Android. People don't understand that this one thing was the seminal thing. eBay came out of there. So many things came out of General.
So it was one company, like
it was one
PayPal
company.
Mafia type
like
shit.
PayPal Mafia, like all those different things. There was the General Magic Mafia. And we went on and created and built a lot of the stuff in the early internet times and then beyond. So what happens, and to your question then, is we were trying to make a great product. And then again, we were trying to make a great product at Apple. But the difference was the technology and timing. So you can make a great product, but you got to have the right timing for people to adopt it. But then even more importantly, and this is what I learned in my earliest days at Apple, is you have to make a great experience. Not just a great product. That's how you get people to use it. And that means following the customer journey from the time they discover it, how they discover that product, how they learn about it, how they try it, how they buy it, how they unbox it if it has hardware elements to it, how they use it the first time and in daily use, how they get it, how they get their questions answered, all of these different things. So you have to go through the entire journey and make sure that you answer and understand their questions and anticipate their needs well before they ever have the product, so that you've smoothed it out, so that if they have a great experience, then the best marketing is them telling their friends or telling their family or whoever it is. And then, you know, that's how you start a revolution. And it's not just making a great product, because I've made a lot of great products, but they failed along the way. And that's it. That's all those stories are in the book Build.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is great. Well, 1991, you technically invented the iPhone. At General Magic.
You'll see.
What became the iPhone?
I
really
became the
watch
iPhone,
that movie. Yeah, what became the iPhone, and of course the iPod, etc. I feel like these words kind of resonate with me as a founder in crypto, right? It's like for so long you feel like you're too early to a technology.
Yep.
And I feel like similarly, like, do you think crypto was kind of in that, or is kind of in that same
for sure
phase?
Absolutely. You know, it's getting to that point where there's a breakout, but that breakout hasn't happened. Like, it took 15 years from General Magic to the iPhone, okay? And that's what I mean about society being ready for it. General Magic was solving problems that people didn't have in 1991. Even the people, us who are creating it, we didn't have these problems. There was no internet yet. No one knew what buying tickets online was. No one knew what downloadable games, or even, they didn't even have email at the time. So we were doing mobile email. So we were solving problems that people didn't even have. So they don't know, like, what do I need this for? And I think that's a lot to do with very similar with the crypto world. People are like, I don't know what this is. What is it about? People are talking about it. And people are talking about handheld computing back in the day, back in the 90s about, oh, yeah, this thing's going to be big. But it really wasn't big for a lot longer. And so I think we are in that moment. And now if we look at it, we're almost 15 years in, depending on how you go.
2011, 2009,
right.
maybe
So,
you could say.
I think we're right on that precipice where it's going to be, it's going to totally change. We're like, bang. And, that's the reason why at Ledger we've been investing so much to create all these new lines and these new lines of products and these new experiences, because it's really about what is to come. And the big thing that I've learned is you can be too early, and that General Magic was the biggest failure on the planet. But you want to be just ahead of the market. You don't want to be just on time, because that means you're competing with lots of people.
Right.
You want to be just ahead, but not too far ahead. And I believe that Ledger, because it's taken a decade to really build and secure the technology the way we have, to be able to create the products. We created Stacks, and then very quickly after we were able to create Flex, because we've created a platform of not just hardware, but hardware and operating system, applications, services all together to be able to ride that wave. And it's coming. We've seen it come in spurts.
Yeah.
I
Every
think
couple of years.
This is just the cyclical nature of technology and how markets work, building markets. And so I think we're just about there.
So what do you, like, what does Tony Fadell think that we are doing wrong? I know you're in the inside, but you're kind of also outside looking in to our industry, right?
Yeah.
What are we doing wrong? Because I feel like sometimes we obsess so much about trying to get people to understand the technology.
Yeah.
Whereas we need to obsess about getting people to use the technology.
That's
I don't
correct.
know how my credit card works, but I know that I have to tap to pay. That's all I care about.
Sure.
So why do I need to care? What does the average need to care about what a transaction fee is? So how do we get over that? I feel like we have this obsessive thing with it.
Yeah,
how do we
people are
change that?
talking about layer 0 protocols and
Yeah.
layer 1 and layer 2, and
Do you
I'm
think
like,
these people need
no
to care
one
about
cares.
that?
Just the big thing you have to say is, how is this a painkiller? And that was with General Magic. There was no pain of General Magic in 1991, not yet. In 2005, 6, 7, the pain started. So let me give you an example. So, like in 2005, 6, what were people carrying at that time? They were carrying an iPod for digital entertainment. They were carrying a laptop with them for productivity and web browsing. And then they were carrying a mobile phone with them for SMS, short messaging, as well as phone calls.
Yeah.
They had those 3 things in their backpack, plus all the chargers and cables and all the whatever else you needed to make all that stuff work. And you're picking each one up and doing different things. People are like, this is a pain. It's heavy. It's all these things. Then iPhone comes out, puts those 3 together, and it was like, boom, people are like, I need that because it's solving that pain. I think self-custody has been a big issue for a lot of people. And so people who understand crypto and understand what self-custody means, and they've gone through the pain of centralized ownership, they're like, wait a second, I want that. I need that. And so they understand the pain. That's why they have them. What we need to do, and we're continuing to do, is broaden out and understanding and bringing solutions to people for existing things they do today or they're going to be doing, so that that pain that comes, we're going to be the painkiller for that.
Right, like, because I was thinking, because like when you invented the iPod, the average person could pick up an iPod and figure out how it works.
Correct, but they also knew what music was, and they had a lot of it, right? And they were switching CDs. There was no Spotify yet. There was no iTunes Music or anything like that. It was, I took my CD player with 10 or 20
Walkman,
CDs, and I was a DJ back in the day. So I'm carrying these huge sleeves of all this plastic, and I'm like, this is so damn heavy. And then it was like 1,000 songs in your pocket. That's enough to DJ for a night or get 2 of them.
Yeah.
Right? So it was always, I always start and with all of this stuff is, what's the pain? And with Stacks, I was using all of the products, including Ledger, right? And I was like, wait a second, I understand what it does and it's solving a pain, but the overall experience had tough. So many friction points.
They're right there, the original ones.
Yeah, they're original ones, and they're wonderful products as a point product, but as an experience, we had to go and build all the stuff around it to make it really a lot better. And now with the new products, Stacks and Flex, you really needed that touchscreen to be able to do transactions on the device in a very simple, easy way, right fast way. That's what the touchscreen, the secure touchscreen is all about, the display, is to really say, we're going to be doing a lot more of things with these devices in the future, and we can't just have two buttons and go click, 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 right? That was a test. That was, is this thing going to be real? Now we're saying it is real. This is the right way to go about your digital asset ownership.
Right. Like, do you think we have like some sort of like a branding problem in this industry? Because AI is hot, right? There's this infamous Jason Calacanis quote from a tweet. He's like our sworn nemesis in the space. He goes, back then in the last bear market, he goes, if you're into crypto, pivot to AI, which I think it was terrible advice. I doubled down in the bear market. But why is it that AI is all like hot, to the outside? Even my mother works in AI, actually. It's hilarious. I love it. AI and health. But why is it that, folks don't want to dabble into crypto? Like, do we think we have a branding issue? How do we reach mass consumers?
What happens is there's hype cycles. I've been in this game so many years that you just see these, there's the hype cycle, and then the trough of disillusionment, and then the market starts.
Right.
And so that happened with internet. Like the internet and all the stocks in the internet world in 2000, the bottom fell out. It was a freaking disaster. The same thing happened in networking. The same thing happened pre-iPhone with mobile phones and smartphones. Microsoft Windows Mobile and Nokia Mobile, all these things, Symbian, they all died because there was this thing. And then some company came along, put it all together, and then they rode the waves. Google was another one, right? It came after that disaster. Google came after that and rode it up. So we have to understand that there are hype cycles. Look at self-driving cars.
Sick.
Right?
Like that robo-taxi thingy that was announced.
Sure, it's sick, but we've been talking about that since 2012.
I thought we'd have flying cars by now.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to have flying cars 30 years ago when I was a kid. So look, you have to separate the marketing and the bullshit and all the other stuff from what the reality is.
I like that.
Right? So at the end of the day, you have to understand these cycles, and you have to understand how to invest your time, your capital, and how you're building products. I learned this. The iPod, before the iPod, there were MP3 players.
Right.
There was a hype cycle.
I had one.
Right. Oh, thanks for being a customer. But it took 3 generations of the iPod before it became successful. It took 3 generations. It wasn't successful in the first generation.
Really? So what was it? For me, it was the iPod Mini, my first one, the blue one.
Correct. That was way down the road.
Really?
Yeah, it was way down the road.
I forget how many iPods were before that.
We had 18 generations. It took 3 generations to finally take off. In the book Build, I talk about it takes 3 generations, fundamental generations of anything to take off as a product if you get those 3 things right.
I love that.
And so, we are in the process of doing that same thing. First generation was the Nano. The next generation was these. And then we have the next one after that builds on top of this. But it's each of those things that you get to go, you first build a product, then you fix the product, then you build the business. That's how it goes in every single thing. Same thing's going on self-driving. It's consolidated. It was like run. Same thing's happening in AI. It's a hype cycle now. There's going to be a bottom falling out, and then it will come back again. You just have to get used to understanding it, and you just play it, and everyone rides it. It's like a stock. Oh my God, I got to buy NVIDIA. I got to buy NVIDIA. Yeah. Oh my God, I got to buy crypto. It's the same stuff. It's absolutely fascinating to watch human nature repeat itself over and over and over. And you just sit back and go, okay, here's what's going to happen.
I mean, it does. Funny for you, right? Because you're like, again, we've done this.
Yeah, it happened when the first time automobiles showed up and planes showed up and everything.
I love that.
Right? So you got to understand that.
Let it happen.
And I outline it all in Build so you can
definitely
learn about
check it out. But see, I love that because you said it takes 3 generations. We've had 3 cycles already. So technically 4th cycle, 2013, 2017, 2021, this is 2015 cycle for crypto.
Yes, but that's crypto from a technology point of view, not technology from a product and experience point of view. I'm talking from a product and point of view.
Where are we then in that? Where do you think we are in that stage?
I think we're at V1 and a half.
Oh God, we have a long way to go.
No, but it goes faster. No, it goes faster. It goes faster.
So it accelerates.
It accelerates because if you look at adoption curves,
it's like
because we learn better and better how to market and how to build products. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's as long as you think.
Okay, so that's good.
And when I say mass, I'm talking billions of people using it. not just 10 million. There's a lot of users today already, right?
Yeah.
So we are already there. I'm talking version 3 when we're doing hundreds and hundreds of millions, like what we're seeing, like the smartphone revolution. So,
No, I love that. Do you think? I actually have a question because obviously you've got to work with Steve Jobs a lot, which is something that not a lot of people can claim, and I think actually that's pretty cool. Do you think Steve Jobs would have liked crypto?
I think he would come to understand it. He didn't like streaming music services.
Interesting.
He only wanted to sell individual songs. And that's what iTunes was until 2013, 2014. Ian knows because they bought Beats, right?
Right, yes.
And that's when they had to, because Spotify was getting traction, and then Apple's like, we need to have a streaming music thing. Spotify came out in 2009, right? But then Apple didn't have an answer for streaming music till years later. So I think Steve would have been like, what do we need this for? This is, because he needed to see the application.
Yeah.
Right? He really needed to see what was the pain point we were solving for. And it took time for streaming music to really be understood. And then it was embraced by Apple. So I think he would have been like, what's it? And pushed it aside. And then ultimately he would have been a believer.
And then he would have probably figured out the right product for it.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly
To get to the. I mean, do you think, like, aside from security, which is obviously like arguably the most important thing in crypto, right? Which is what brought us two together in this room today with Ledger. Like, what products do you think it's going to require for us to finally break through, right? Because right now it's coins, right? Oh, this meme coin is going to the moon, so everybody rushes to buy it, like you said. But then when it goes down, everybody rushes out, and we're scammers again.
Right.
Right? So, like, what else is it going to require to, like, do you think, like...
I think what we have to do is we have to, again, I think, we talk about this industry as crypto. But I don't believe it's just crypto. I believe,
I agree with that.
people, when we say crypto and we call these wallets, people go, oh, I'm storing my Bitcoin on it. It's like, no, you're not. You have your identity on it, and it's on the blockchain, right? And so we have to think about these as identification devices so that you know what you hold and you know how to do transactions, these kinds of things. They're not wallets in the sort of, two things you can do with wallets. You can put like money in it, or you can have IDs in it, right?
Right.
And or IDs that show that, a credit card, right?
Of course.
But you're not storing money on the credit card.
No.
So we have to toss out the part of the wallet that holds bills, like paper things, and we have to talk about the thing that holds IDs. And that's what this really is an identity wallet. So think of identity not just about doing transactions with your crypto or doing transactions with your NFTs, but what about doing transactions on Amazon, doing transactions on, or just verifying that when you're on Tinder, you're not talking to some bot or some guy on the other side, right? Instead of whoever it is you're trying to attract. So the thing is, we are going to need to have a digital form of our identity, right, that's verifiable. And I know people want anonymity, but a lot of things do not want anonymity. That's for a certain set of people, and there's no problem with that. But we still need to have verified identity, and authentication for so many other services we use today. Even LinkedIn is going to verified IDs, right? So we have to think about this as an identification card for all kinds of different transactions. Web 3.0 for sure, but also Web 2.0.
Right.
Because in the world of deepfakes, whether that's deepfake audio, video,
dangerous
photos, all of these different things, right? And then we have bots running around masquerading as you. You need to know, other people need to know you're you. You need to be able to sign photos and say, this was the photo I took and I sent it to you and it didn't get changed by the time it hits you. Those kind of things need to happen. And that's also in the Web 2.0 world, not Web 3.0 world. It might be heretical to say, oh, Web 2.0, it's over. It's not over.
No.
It's nowhere near over. So we need to make sure when we think about the products, we're trying to address both types of customers or the same customer who has to do both types of things.
Yeah. When you were like the guy creating the iPod and stuff, like were you like flowing, long hair, cool?
No, actually, I was already, I had been losing my hair like back when I was 19, 20. So by the time Apple was, because I was 30, 31 at Apple, it was already there. So I cut it really short and I bleached it. So it was white. So I ran around Apple for a couple years with bleached white hair.
That's
and they're
sick.
like, who is this crazy?
So you were 30 when you invented the iPod?
31.
Sick. I'm 30 now. And
Okay.
I'm like... damn, I haven't accomplished shit then.
Oh, stop. Stop.
Hey, 30-year-olds out there, if you've not invented the iPod by the time you're 30, you should reconsider right there. I'm just kidding. I'm playing. No, but honestly, like if I'm into this, I didn't mean to go there, but may as well go there because you talk about a few things in your book, but I also listened to your TED Talk, which is, whoa, I don't really listen to TED Talks, but that one was really sick.
Thank you.
And it got me really hyped up as a founder because you talk about stuff like habituation.
Sure.
And I thought that was great. How do we get to that stage, though, in our space? Like, how do we get to the habituation point? How do people get habituated to this industry? But not just that. It's like,
I think most people in this industry have been habituated. They got through all those. How do I get? What is an ETH address? How do I get one? How do I do it? They get through all of that, and they had to learn all that. And then they're like, it's up and running. It's all good. Look, see how easy it is. And they forget about the beginner. And you have to. And this was what I also learned from Steve is staying beginner. And this was also part of the talk. How do you look through the beginner's mindset and go, where's all those friction points, and stop thinking that it's the user's problem and start taking on it's the designer's problem to solve all of those pain points. So it is really, really smooth so they don't feel challenged or like, what's going on? So the problem is, and this is what's going on in this industry, most of them have been in it for 10 years and they forgot what it was like to be a new user and how confusing it still can be. And that's what I hope with what we did with Stacks and Flex and the whole set of apps and services around them. Is to take enough of those pain points and educate along the way so they gain confidence, right? It's not just about making it easy, but it's also about education and gaining confidence, especially when you have identification, and authentication for a store of some kind of digital value. You got to make sure you get that right because people are always like, if I touch it, I'm going to lose everything. It's that stuff, or it's going to get stolen. Yeah. We have to get people comfortable with that, just like credit cards took a long time to adopt. They took years to adopt for both. Tap to pay took a long time to adopt. It was only.
I still don't really like it that much. I'm not gonna lie.
COVID finally made kind of that stuff happen. It was around for I think more than that because we were trying to do it on the iPod. Tap to pay existed well at the iPod days. They're like, you're going to take your iPod and you're going to tap to pay.
No
so
way.
It took a lot of years. You have to understand it takes a long time for people to adopt. And luckily COVID came and then the world changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Same for crypto, right?
But it was a slow process.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes with what we're doing with digital identity. It's a slow process and we just have to understand. But then one day when it all hits, we have all the infrastructure and then it takes off. That's what we've been building at Ledger because we believe it. It has already gotten to a success point with a certain set of users. We think it's going to break out for a whole wider range of people.
That is so cool. I love that. I quickly want to touch on like AI, like I was talking about before.
Sure.
No, I'm mostly into crypto, blockchain, etc. But I did tell you about how like that hype wave kind of took a lot of steam almost away from the blockchain tech and the crypto industry and sectors. A lot of people pivoted. In the bear market, a lot of people left. They're coming back now. And so what do you make of this whole of first of all, I would love to hear your thoughts on Apple's latest, AI advancements, like the VR glass, etc. Because I guess we're there. That was Gen 1. Takes 3 gens, I guess, to get to a point.
You could take more than that.
Oh, well, would you love your thoughts on that? on the whole like VR glasses experiences? Because we're thinking this is going to improve a lot, but also like just overall, like because you have OpenAI versus Grok now, let's say. You have Meta versus Apple. Everybody's, going at it head to head. What do you make of that entire space?
Look, there's a lot of noise. You have to separate out and really understand what you're what the fundamentals to understand how to compare and how to evaluate what's going on. As far as AI goes, AI's been around a long time. Yes. We put AI in the very first consumer product, I think, which was in Nest. In Nest, we had AI, machine learning. We couldn't call it either of those things. We just had to use marketing terms to actually get it. But we put AI in 2011 in a product, right? We put AI in multiple products after that as well inside of Nest. So it's been around. It can be used, and it can be used well. The big thing that and it's very valuable business can be built. What has happened over the last 2 years is really it's the assault of the LLMs, large language models. Yeah. That is what's new and what's on the scene because we never thought we'd have to spend $100 million on compute to make these kinds of these engines that these kind of auto completion engines because that's what all they are. And so now when you spend that kind of money, you can start to approximate things, but it's still autocomplete. There is no reasoning going on. No matter how much they want to tell you Strawberry, OpenAI, O1 is reasoning, it isn't. It's just smarter ways of doing inference, okay? And so AI is useful if you use certain types of AI models, diffusion models, RNNs, CNNs, BNNs, all kinds of different things, when it's applied to the right problem. What a lot of people are trying to talk about and hype is artificial general intelligence. I don't believe in artificial general intelligence. I haven't seen anything that does reasoning. I think we are getting better autocorrecting or auto-completion engines, yes, but we are not seeing reasoning, no matter how much we want to see it. It's starting to approximate things, but it's not there. And so you got to take that out, use these other things, like I talked about, as artificial specific intelligence. Not artificial general. And when you go to specific, when you have the right training data sets, when you have the right algorithms, when you have the right context for how you do queries, you can make those things work really, really well. We're doing that in healthcare. We're doing it in textiles. We're doing it in recycling. We're doing it in drug design. There's so many ways to do it. So you have to really understand in AI what you're doing to be able to do it, but don't believe all the hype of the LLMs.
I love that. One last question, if I may. I know I gotta cut. You probably have to go and stuff. One last question is, we talk about burning a candle. We're in tech. We're in high-speed growth, hyper-growth at all times. Everybody's burnt in the industry, right? At all times. As founders, it's tough, but it's kind of the cost of doing business in the space.
Sure.
What do you have to say to other founders in tech, crypto, AI, that may be, that are just trying, and feel like they're just not getting that breakthrough? What are Tony Fadell's words to those people?
Usually it means you're butting your head up against the wall 24/7. You need to take a step back. You need to make sure you take not the whole weekend, but you got to take a day. You got to have a time to reflect so your body can actually, your mind can actually consolidate all the things and maybe help you find answers. Make sure you're not always distracted by technology. I go out for runs. I go out for long bike rides without technology. You go and do things. I do yoga, do other things. I learned this through my General Magic experience when I was working 7 days a week, 18 to 20 hours a day. You cannot run your mind like that. It needs consolidation time. It needs sleep to heal, to figure out what's going on. And a lot of my best answers and breakthroughs came through when I was in those quiet times, because my brain had time to congeal and go, and see possible solutions, as opposed to just trying to push. Sometimes that doesn't work. You got to back off and make sure it's a weekly routine, not just once in a while.
I love that. Tony, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure and honor for me. Ladies and gents, that was Tony Fadell, the father of the iPod, co-inventor of the iPhone, the founder of Nest, and now working on the Ledger, Stacks, Flex, and all their suite of products, which are absolutely awesome. And you heard it here. Take some time to breathe, go for a run, go for a bike ride, and get off the tech. Peace out. Love y'all. See you next time.